Mega Mike the Movie Man. And today got a mega movie plan. Today we're back with another mega movie topic battle video. We're gonna have the live action Spider-Man movies face off against the live action Batman movies. So we're gonna be comparing those two and we're gonna see who comes out on top. But let me know in the comments below, who do you think the winner is going to be? Now, how we're going to do this comparison is we're going to split it up into different segments. First, we're going to compare the Batman original anthology films with the Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy. Then we're going to go in and compare the Dark Knight trilogy with the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man films. And then finally, we'll go in and compare the Batman with the No Way Home trilogy of films with Tom Holland. So that's how this battle is going to work. So without further ado, let's get started.
I believe there's a hero in all of us. Gives us strength, makes us noble. Even though sometimes we have to give up the thing we want the most.
So starting off with comparing the Batman original anthology with the Sam Raimi Spider-Man films. So the Batman original anthology had 2 good films in it and 2 not so good films. So the 2 Tim Burton films are actually pretty good Batman movies. I do really enjoy them. They had a great cast, they had awesome characters. Jack Nicholson's Joker was phenomenal. The Penguin, played by Danny DeVito, Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman, and some decent action and cool elements about them, like the amazing score. I mean, those 2 Tim Burton movies are pretty solid. But then you got the Joel Schumacher movies. Oh no, this is going to bring it down a little bit. Batman Forever just got a little too silly, and just the Riddler, Jim Carrey, not so good. Tommy Lee Jones as Two-Face, not so good either. So not the best villains in the world. And then get into Batman and Robin, and then the silliness just gets to a whole new level. And it's just a really odd movie, a giant toy commercial, and it had potential, but no, just got too silly with all those ice puns. So, it's tough. This anthology, we have to look at everything combined. So it's kind of like, some good, some bad. But now let's look at the Sam Raimi Spider-Man films. Now, there's some problems here too, but let's talk about the positives. So Spider-Man 1 and 2 are awesome movies. I still consider Spider-Man 2 one of the best superhero films of all time. I mean, a near perfect movie, just great. And then Spider-Man 1 was a really good Spider-Man origin story, and I thought it just set up those characters perfectly. Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin is fantastic. And then going back to Spider-Man 2, Alfred Molina as Dr. Octopus, it was just so well grounded, these characters. You really got to learn about Peter Parker and the struggles he went through. And then you had some really good web swinging action with Spider-Man just going through the city. And those movies do such a good job. However, like I said, there's some negatives here too. We get into Spider-Man 3, and we get all the dancing Tobey Maguire and acting all emo and everything. I don't know what happened with that. Went off the rails, but there was some good potential there. I actually think if they just focused on the Sandman storyline, didn't bring in the Venom character, then we could have had a tighter script there, and then just an overall better story. So there were some missteps in the movie, but I do think there was some story in there that could have been pretty decent. So we got positives and negatives on both sides, but battling them up together, comparing the 2 sets side by side, I'm going to have to say for this part, we're going to say Spider-Man Sam Raimi films actually take it on this one. Just because Spider-Man 1 and 2 are some of the best superhero films of all time. And unfortunately, the Batman anthology, Batman, maybe some will consider one of the best superhero films of all time. It's definitely a good, entertaining film. But the other 3 just aren't the best. Now, Batman Returns I think is pretty decent, but then it really goes off the rails with Forever and Batman and Robin, and it just brings it down so much. Where Spider-Man 3 was the only misstep in the Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy. So, more missteps over here with Batman. So for now, Spider-Man is going to take this round.
My parents deserve justice. I cannot let that pass. If you make yourself more than just a man, then you become something else entirely.
Now we're on to round 2 here, and we're going to be comparing the Dark Knight trilogy with the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man movies. Now, the Dark Knight trilogy is my favorite trilogy of all time. I think each of the Dark Knight movies are absolutely fantastic. Batman Begins is such an awesome origin story. The Dark Knight is a great crime drama, and I think The Dark Knight Rises is very underrated. To see how Bruce Wayne develops his character throughout the movie and the rising arc he has, I mean, that is just so powerful and inspirational to me, and I think it just ends really well. So that trilogy to me is very solid, really enjoyable. Now we look at the Andrew Garfield movies. Now, we only have 2 movies to look at on this side. I think Andrew Garfield was a good actor. Definitely as Spider-Man, I enjoyed him. And unfortunately, I don't really have too many positives to say else about the Amazing Spider-Man. I mean, Gwen Stacy is good by Emma Stone. She gives a solid performance. So her and Peter Parker's dynamic in the movie actually is a pretty good relationship. So I like seeing that throughout the movies. However, other than that, I'm really not a fan of the villains in either one of these. To me, the Amazing Spider-Man, there was just something off about it. I didn't really like the lizard, and he just wants to turn people into lizard people and just kind of loses my interest after a while. And then the Amazing Spider-Man 2, we all know how sloppy that gets with so many characters, adding in the Rhino who's just angry all the time and just isn't and enough in the movie. And then you got Electro in there, which I don't like really the look of Electro with the blue. I mean, I wanted them to go a little bit more classic. And then you just have so much else I'm trying to cram in there. Green Goblin storyline. Now, Green Goblin is cool when he has that Gwen Stacy moment from the comics. That's probably the best scene of the movie. But it's just mixed in with too many other elements in this movie. And you can see they're trying to set up a Sinister Six movie. But it just doesn't work, just doesn't come together at the end of the day. So I think this is a clear winner by far to the Dark Knight trilogy, where all 3 films are good to really good. People would consider that. I don't think just me, but they're all very solid. And then the Amazing Spider-Man movies, some people may like the first Amazing Spider-Man, but I don't think anybody thinks it's amazing. And most people don't like Amazing Spider-Man 2, even though there might be a couple elements in there they enjoyed just as a whole movie, not consider one of the better tier movies, usually at the lower tier of superhero movies. So, clear winner will go to the Batman, which will take round 2. So now we got tied up.
You're not gonna take this away from me. Peter, you're struggling to have everything you want, while the world tries to make you choose.
Now we get into our third and final round. We're going to compare the Batman with the Tom Holland trilogy of films. Now, I know this kind of gives an unfair advantage to the Tom Holland films because there's 3 movies compared to 1 movie with the Batman, but I have to work with what we have right now, and we only got 1 movie in the Batman series of films so far. So we're still going to have to compare here. Now, starting with the Batman, I thought this was a really good, solid movie. It's an awesome detective film noir story. However, I think it was missing some elements that kind of brought down the movie, but there's still positives here. Pattinson as Batman is awesome. He truly is vengeance. His Batmobile is fantastic. There are some good moments in the movie. I really do like the opening setup of the character. And so there was good components there, but some things that bring down the movie, lack of gadgets, It's too dark. The story's just too long. I don't feel like they were true supervillains. And so there's some things that did bring it down just a little bit, but it's still a good, solid movie. Now we're going to compare that with Tom Holland's Homecoming movies. And I think all of the Spider Man Homecoming movies are actually really good and entertaining. Homecoming is awesome. Far From Home is great. No Way Home is fantastic. Some people even consider No Way Home the best Spider Man movie of all time. Some people even think it's the best superhero movie of all time. But all of the movies are entertaining in their own way. They have great comedy, great character development, good emotional scenes, especially when you get the No Way Home. And then there's awesome villains, the Vulture, Mysterio, and then you bring back all those old classic villains from the other Spider-Man movies in No Way Home. I mean, that is just so awesome to see. I never thought we would ever see that again. And then you bring in the other Spider-Man characters as well, and you get to see all three of them on screen. Just great nostalgia with that movie. Awesome fan service. But like I said, each of those Homecoming movies are really good, very entertaining. So when you have all of them grouped together compared to the Batman movie, I mean, how can you not go with those Spider Man movies? To me, when I look at it, I'd probably pick any of those Spider Man movies just personally over the Batman more often. When I want to put on a film just to be entertained and have fun with, I'm probably going to pick those Spider-Man movies more often than not rather than the Batman. Even though the Batman is a good movie, to me, the other Spider-Man movies here are just on another entertainment value, just a little bit higher. And so I'm going to have to give this round to the Tom Holland movies, especially with all the great cast members and awesome actors. And Tom Holland does an awesome job as Peter Parker and Spider-Man, just to see how his character grows and develops over all of those stories, and how it's a real coming of age story, and just how he interacts with his friends, and just to see where he ends up by No Way Home, I think is quite powerful. So how could I not give this round to the Tom Holland films? So absolutely, this round goes to the Tom Holland Spider-Man films in comparison to the Batman. So now we look at the score here, and we have Spider-Man at 2 points with Batman films at 1 point. So the numbers don't lie here. Spider-Man wins this movie topic battle. But let me know in the comments below, do you agree with my choice of the winner? Now this is just my own personal choice, so if you disagree, that is perfectly fine. Let me know below why you think the Batman films should win overall. I'm really curious to read all those comments and respond. Also, if you're just discovering the channel for the first time, make sure you subscribe right now. I'm going to get you tons of superhero content, more movie rankings, reviews, movie news, haul videos, you name it. We'll talk everything movies on this channel. Also, make sure you turn on that notification bell so you don't miss when I post a video. Also, like the video. And this is Mega Mike the Movie Man reminding you to make every day a movie day.